time. It's our time, my friends. Time for millions of maturepreneurs, 55 plus, who are hashtag not done by a long shot, to revolutionize how we lead, do business, and innovate our world. I'm your host, Jeanette Anderson, and welcome to my conversations with fascinating people who would rather inspire than retire. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Maturepreneur podcast. And it is for those of you who are going, what's next? I'm too inspired to retire, so now what do I do? And today I have a great guest with me to help answer some of those questions. Swart is here with me currently from South Africa, but he's South African, but he lives in Australia. So the man gets around, and it's like the middle of the night there, isn't it?
It is the middle of the night.
Oh my God. What time is it, Louis?
It's 11:30 at night.
Oh my God. Okay. You're definitely committed to your business. Congratulations. All right. So I'm going to tell you the official word, then we'll find out the juicy, delicious details behind the scene. I keep asking for that. No one ever gives me those, but we'll try. And then we're going to talk today about delegation, hiring VAs, figuring out how to use AI to automate some portions of your business. In other words, how do you create a business that runs easier and faster, where you don't have to do the crap you don't want to do, and you can delegate the appropriate things at the appropriate time to the appropriate people. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And Louis has his own firm. We were just talking about all the services that helps with this. So there's lots to cover. So Swart is a veteran business coach for coaches and founders and he is the founder of Ironbrij, a human AI-powered virtual assistant company. We'll come back to that, helping coaches beat burnout by providing a team to support your IT, graphics, and social media. With 35 years of experience leading teams, selling companies, and training coaches worldwide, empowering others to delegate smarter, grow faster, and reclaim their time and peace of mind. So that is the hope and the desire of every entrepreneur, is to be able to delegate smarter, grow faster, and reclaim time and peace of mind. Sometimes I think it's a unicorn desire, but there are ways we can get components of it. So let's talk about that, Louis. First of all, tell me something about you that we wouldn't guess, that maybe even your friends don't know about you, because that's all the official stuff. But tell us something.
I suppose people always see me with a blue shirt on.
Yes.
And one day I've only got one shirt. But
but you do have more than one shirt?
But I have a cupboard full of blue shirts. My cupboard is just, I have that color. So I go in the morning and I just get a blue shirt, and then that's what I wear.
Okay.
But,
and is that is that because it's part of your branding?
For one, yes. And the second reason is that I learned very early on in business that the less decisions you have to make every day, the easier it is. Okay, so it's just one decision less. I basically got black jeans. I got 5 black jeans, and I got a whole lot of blue shirts. I go to the cupboard, I'll put on a blue shirt, put on a pair of black jeans. I haven't made a decision about what I'm going to wear. So I've got an extra decision that can help me with my business.
That's interesting. There's a great tip for you already, everybody. All right. So let's talk a little bit about your journey and your why before we launch into some details about how to delegate. How did you end up creating this agency for VAs? And oh, by the way, while we're at it, define that term, a human AI-powered virtual assistant company. So what does that mean?
I love it. So, well, starting up with that, basically with virtual assistants, the actual staff member, imagine if you hired somebody to come and work in your business, and they were going to pick up heavy things and carry them. And then the next person said, hey, I've got somebody who can come work in your business, but I'm going to give them a bionic suit. And they're going to have like a man of, an Iron Man suit, and they're going to be able to just pick up a whole crate of stuff and move it. we'd definitely go for the person who had the bionic suit.
Yeah.
And so it's exactly the same with the virtual assistants. I believe that all of us should have a virtual assistant who's helping us. And if we can empower that person and give them AI, to help them to be able to do a lot of the work much faster and more efficiently, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah.
So that's really where that comes in. I'm happy to tell you a little bit about my business journey, if you'd like.
Yeah. Tell me how you started this. So what was your, because you've been in corporate, it sounds like, for 35 plus years. So tell us, how come you decided to become an entrepreneur and why this business?
Well, I've actually been an entrepreneur my whole life. Okay. At 30, I actually sold a business. I remember sitting in the bank, and we just sold a business for $5 million. And they had those coin counting machines on the table, the money counting machines, and they're like the movies, like, counting it out and putting elastic bands on it. And they were piling up this pile of money. $5 million is not a massive amount of money, in case you're wondering. I thought, maybe, but it's not. And I thought back to how did I get to this point? How did I get to the point where we were able to sell a business so easily for $5 million? And then I thought about a business that I had 5 years earlier, and I'd actually had a plumbing business. I had a plumbing business, and I had 10 plumbers on the road. I was 25. You're bulletproof. When you're 25, you're like bulletproof. Yeah. And I went to sell it, and I was like, I'm going to retire and be the youngest retiree. And I spoke to the broker, and the broker said, Louis, who does the accounts? And I was like, I do them. And he said, who does the, recruitment? And I was like, well, I do it. And he said, who does the quoting? And I was like, well, I do it. And who does the quality control? I do it. And I was quite proud to tell him that I was everything, And he said, Louis, your business is worth nothing. And I can tell you that really hit home for me, because I've never thought about it like that. Because I was the entire business. I did everything. The business was worth nothing, because somebody else would have to be me to buy it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd learned when I started these other businesses. So the business that I sold for the $5 million, I had 200 staff working for me. And when it came time to sell it, people came in and they said, who does the accounts? And I was like, well, that lady does. Who does the recruitment? That person. Who does the buying new vehicles? That person. Yeah. And so they could just step in and take over the business. And that really is the power of delegation. So going from having a business that's worth nothing to a business that's worth $5 million was really just about me delegating tasks better. And then I moved to Australia, and I had some amazing businesses, and I had some epic business fails, as we all do. We all do. I call them life's readjustments, like little readjustments in life. And the last business that I had, I grew to 35, turning over 35 million, 450 staff. So it was a really big business. I got really good at doing systems and delegating and putting processes in place. But internally, I felt like something was broken, and I felt like I should be happier. Here I was about 54 at the time, had this business growing, had all these people working for me, and I was just desperately unhappy, and I was like, my whole world, I'd worked towards getting to this point of having a business, having money coming in, and I then went and started trying to find out why I was unhappy. I refer to it as being broken, and I try to find out why am I broken? What's wrong with me? And I went and I studied neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and I became a master practitioner of that. And I studied hypnotherapy and timeline therapies, and I studied a whole lot of these hypnotherapy, and I studied a whole lot of these different modalities. But it was to fix me; it wasn't for anything else.
Right.
And then I was like, how can I help other people? How can I help other people more? And that's when I started looking at, how do I help coaches? How do I help coaches that are helping people? Because my whole world has been about, how do I multiply what I'm doing? So the easiest way to help people is to help coaches, because coaches are helping people, so I can amplify what I'm doing massively by doing that.
Yes.
And initially, I started doing that, and I got imposter syndrome. And I don't know if you know imposter syndrome, but I got it bad. I got it bad. And I was like, how can I possibly help Jeanette?
Yeah.
You know, how can I help Jeanette? Like, I'm going to tell her what to do with accounts. And my business, I had a whole accounts team. And I'm going to tell her what to do on socials, but I had a whole social media team. And so I actually started the company just to kill the imposter. That's why I started it. Because I was like, I can't tell somebody how to, start because I was working with smaller businesses at this point. And I'm like, how can I tell a smaller business? Because they'll be like, well, you don't really know what you're talking about. You had a $35 million business. It's different to just one person working. Well, very soon I had 50 virtual assistants in the Philippines, and I was turning over, sort of a lot of money, and I was back on track. And then I was like, well, okay, this works. And so then I started focusing on what kind of clients that I want to do. Obviously, I knew that I wanted to help people who were helping people. So I focused on coaches. I help a whole lot of other people, but I kind of specialize in coaches. And then I realized that a lot of my clients are actually older clients.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, older, I refer to me as older. So a lot of my clients are kind of 55 plus. Yeah. A lot of my clients. And what I find is a lot of us feel like we've got all this massive amount of knowledge, and we just want to get the knowledge out to the world. But there's all this AI stuff in between us and the world, and there's all these social media between us and the world, and we can only talk to so many people one-on-one, and we kind of have to interact with this social media, but we don't really want to, don't really want to. And so how could I help people like that? How could I help people like that to actually be able to interact better with social media? Mm-hmm. Because, the message that we've got is beautiful. Mm. And one of the biggest things that I hear is, I'm terrible at technology. And I say, well, you're talking to me on the other side of the world on a computer.
Yeah.
Imagine if younger you, you told younger you now that this is what you're doing. They'd be like, whoa, you're like a time traveling genius, techno guru. Okay. And I think that's where we fall short. We've come through this stage where we actually didn't have a telephone, or we had a telephone with a cord. And then if we were really fancy, we got a longer cord. And,
yeah, so you could reach across the room.
Absolutely. And I mean, then if you had a cordless one, I mean, you were just showing off. If you had a cordless phone. And, then we got these mobile phones. And I mean, it started off like a brick. Hey? You had to kind of carry a car battery around with you just to use your phone. And then they got smaller until they almost disappeared. Yeah. And now they're getting bigger. But the children that are coming in now have never been exposed to any of that technology.
Yeah.
They've only been exposed to the big mobile phone.
Yeah.
Right. But we have this feeling that we have to try and actually remember all the different things. Yeah. And that's one of the biggest things. That's one of the biggest differences between our generation and young people. Mm. Young people, if you watch young people, they will get your mobile phone and they'll go, they'll try this, try that. As older people, we will go, we click on the app and it doesn't work. I must have done something wrong.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't click on it hard enough, soft enough. I've done something wrong. Younger people just go, click, doesn't work. They'll move on to the next app, right? Or they'll just delete it and reinstall it, or they'll Google how to fix it.
Yeah,
exactly. They've got no time to waste. And then we go, wow, they're so efficient. They're just efficient because they're not scared to make a mistake.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, but coming back to business.
Yes.
A lot of us want to actually get out there on socials, but we don't want to do the boring stuff.
Right.
We don't want to do that stuff like, hey, hello, how are you going? I'd love to connect with you.
Yes.
And so what we do is, I actually firmly believe that if you have work that you absolutely love, that energizes you, man, you want to do it. You just want to jump out of bed and go to work because you love work. Now, I have a confession. I don't like accounts. Okay, I don't like accounting. And I actually found out that the accounting was what was holding me back in my life because I was doing sales, but in the back of my mind, I was going, if I sell to more people, I'm going to have more accounts. And I'm sitting there in the middle of the night doing accounts, and I hate doing accounts.
Yeah.
So basically, by me selling more of my product, I'm going to have to do the stuff that I hate doing. Yeah. And so it actually stalled me from doing the sales.
Yes.
And as soon as I was able to get somebody to do the accounts, I was like, let's go. I'm going to sell 1 million of these, and like that's their job. They can pick it up. And that's the power of the delegation. Yeah. That's the power of actually delegating those things that you don't like. And we all know, you've got some jobs that you do and it just drains you.
Yeah.
You do it just absolutely drains you. And then you've got other things that you do like this, like talking to beautiful people like you, and you just feel revived and alive, and you get off the call and you're like, this is amazing.
Yes.
So how do you do just that? How do you do only the stuff that gives you energy? How do you do the stuff that really excites you and enlivens you up? And one of the ways is by getting virtual assistants. So, I firmly believe that when we hire somebody, we should hire the opposite of ourselves. So as you can imagine, I'm a big picture guy. So I'm like, we're going to save the world. Let's save the world. Okay. And if I got a VA who was like, yeah, it's a great idea, we're going to save the world, that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Because nobody would actually be doing the stuff to save the world.
Exactly.
So
the
VA,
yes.
Yeah. So I need a detailed person to work behind me.
Yeah.
So I go, let's save the world. And they go, okay, how are we going to do that? How are we going to finance it?
Yeah.
Tell me the facts and figures,
yeah.
Which is all boring stuff to me because I'm a big picture person.
Yeah.
And so that's how we can hire a virtual assistant. That's how we know that somebody's the right fit. And we do personality profiles on you and the VAs, so we can actually work out that it's the right kind of person that you're going to hire. Right. You kind of meet with people and you interview 3 people and you decide which person sounds good for you. And some people love doing accounts. Some people genuinely love doing accounts. I don't know. I don't at all.
Right. Well, let me ask you, Louis, because I've gone through many virtual assistants in my day. Some were great, some were not, some were in between. And one of the things that I know is there's a big difference between abdication and delegation. And I learned this the hard way, that it's not the same thing to just simply say, okay, I don't want to do this, therefore you do it. And being clear on what needs to happen strategically and tactically because you've done it, because you know what you want to accomplish, and it's documented, or you can train the person on how you want it done, which is different than how someone else would do it. And then you can manage the process, which is different than abdication, because many people think, oh, I'm just going to get a VA and then, I don't have to focus on any of that anymore. That's a really good way to have stuff, A, not get done, B, not get done the way you want it to be done, C, to not have the impact and the effect that you want it to have, because and really to add more work to your plate. I've spent a lot of time managing tasks, which is not what you want to do when you hire a VA. You want to have a clear role, responsibilities, and so forth, and empower them, set them up for success, versus, micromanaging and task delegation. And then you have to follow up and project management. And I've done that way too often, spent too much time and got very little ROI. So how do you help people determine when they're ready to hire a VA? Because just because you don't want to do something doesn't mean you're ready to hire a VA. So what's your criteria for when it's time?
It's a really good question. Okay. And it all comes down to, I suppose, different personality types. Mm-hmm. But as a general rule, if you building your brand, you need to have somebody help you. Mm-hmm. Okay. because you don't have enough time. We don't have enough time in a day to actually have meetings like this and be creating content and be chatting to people and be commenting on their posts, etc. With regards to how we do it, I'm a firm believer that we should have, SOPs or standard operating procedures for what it is that we do. I also believe that we should meet every day with our virtual assistants. Now, that's only a 5-minute meeting, okay? And you just go, imagine if I worked in an office and I had a salesperson and I just walked past them and went into my office every day, okay? And then at the end of the month, I go, well, your sales are terrible. And they go, I've built no rapport with that person. They don't know what they're doing right or wrong along the way. They don't know about new products that I've got, etc. And so it's very much like that with a virtual assistant. You want to bring them in as a part of your business. And that's a mistake that a lot of people make. And I made that mistake. I just went on Fiverr and I just hired somebody and I was like, hey, I've got an hour's work for you. And then I was like, well, they're not doing the stuff like I want them to do it. And it's because they got no idea who I am, what I stand for, what my values are, that kind of thing. Whereas meeting them once a day, I just have a 5-minute meeting and I'm like, hey, I noticed that you're inviting a whole lot of men into the group and that's not kind of my target market, or I noticed that you're saying this type of stuff on the socials and I want you to make it friendlier or less friendly or whatever that is. The other thing that's really important is to ask open-ended questions. So we know the difference between the open and closed-ended questions. So the closed questions are, would you like a coffee? And the answer is really yes or no. Okay. And with our VAs, you will say, can you do this? Or can you do that for me? And they will say yes. Unfortunately, Philippine people are beautiful, but they are terrible at saying no.
Yeah.
Extremely bad at saying no. Yeah. So they will say, yes, I'm going to, yes. And then wait a week and you'll say, where's that file? And they'll say, oh, I'm going to get it for you. And then they'll wait another week and then they'll just vanish.
Yeah.
And you go, what happened? But it's actually because they don't know how to do the job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Terrible. They are terrible at that. So we have a cultural integration lady who actually just manages that type of thing. So the team is actually logging in and saying, how are you going? There's a chat that happens between you, the VA, and my team. And if you're saying, hey, where's that document? My team is getting straight onto them and saying, why is the client waiting for a document? What's happening? What do you need help with? How can we support you to be able to get you, the better service for you? So yeah, that's
it's fascinating. And yeah, there's definitely different cultures when you hire a VA from India or Pakistan versus the Philippines versus Argentina or Brazil, where there's a lot of VAs from those areas. They have a different way of interacting with you. You need to, ensure that you've got good communication and they've got the kind of communication skills that you need and so forth. So there's a lot of things to look for. Why should people go through an agency versus direct, which is going to be a little bit less money? But so for those that are thinking, yes, I can just go on Upworks or Fiverr or, the, various different other VA sites and hire someone. Why should they go through an agency like yours versus hiring direct?
The main reason is that if you want to actually manage a team, that is a job. And if you want the job of looking after a staff member and you've got time to do the job and you don't want to progress as fast, then you would hire them directly. Okay. I hired directly a lot of times, and some of the things that would happen was people would be working for me. They may even be helping me with my Facebook, and then they would just vanish. And I would be, did they get killed in a typhoon? Yeah. Like, are they coming back? Should I change the password? Are they going to be upset if I change the password because they think I don't trust them? What's happened to this person? And I mean, even from a genuine thing, what has happened to this person? Yeah. Right. And sometimes they've just got sick, or they've just left, or whatever that looks like, or somebody else has offered them an 8-hour day and you've given them a 2-hour day, whatever that looks like. Yeah. You're also managing things like when they're sick, or when they're starting and finishing work. Now, if you work through an agency like us, I've been doing this for 15 years. I know most of their tricks. Okay.
Yeah.
There's always new ones.
Yeah.
But I know most of their tricks. And, we have set start and finish times. We have a start of day and an end of day report. I have 3 team members actually logging in the back, just checking in on them. So we have a lady who just checks in on the staff members, and she's checking if they're growing your socials. She's seeing how is that compared to other people's socials? How are you going compared to other people's? If there's issues, so recently we've had issues with Facebook. There's been major issues with Facebook recently where a whole lot of accounts have actually just been coming up as, you need to get the blue tick, otherwise they're kind of just blocking you and doing all sorts of stuff. There's emails going around saying, your account's going to be suspended in 12 hours or 24 hours, which are actually not true. Mm-hmm. But because my team manages sort of, 30 coaches, they can say, look, that's a nonsense email. It's a spam email. Ignore the email. Okay. So you've got one person really controlling the whole thing. Your VA also feels more secure because if they need advice, they can go to the graphics team, they can go to the IT team, they can go to all these different teams, and even stuff like the IT team, they'll call you and say, my monitor's not working. And then what are you going to do? So you're now going to become an IT person and try and help them to fix their monitor. Mm-hmm. Whereas if they're in an agency, they go to the IT guy and say, hey, the monitor's not working, and he fixes it.
Yeah.
So, it's really just how can you be more efficient? How can you be more efficient with your time? Because you're hiring a VA to be more efficient.
Yeah.
And there's some little tricks, for example, when they talk to you about the time, don't talk about Philippine time and Atlanta time. If you're in Atlanta, they need to talk Atlanta time.
Yeah.
You don't care what time it is in Philippines. It needs to be Atlanta time. That way, otherwise you're trying to do a currency conversion, mm-hmm. and your time is worth, probably $300 or $400 an hour, and their time's worth $10 an hour. They need to do the conversion because they need to be assisting you. Mm-hmm. If you want to meet with them, you shouldn't be setting up a Zoom meeting and doing all that. You should just be going into something like WhatsApp and going, let's meet. They should then go and set up a Zoom meeting and be waiting there for you.
Right. Exactly. So really helping you versus, and sometimes it can be hard for people to let go because they have lots of control issues and they want to be doing things and they're used to doing things. So there also needs to be in your evolution, if you are ready to hire someone, the willingness to delegate and let go, not abdicate, but to manage the process and the expectations and so forth, but also to not then, micromanage and go and do things and undermine them and so on. There's a lot of topics that we could talk about around this. Let's briefly touch on AI. Lots of people are using AI to help leverage them, but it's also creating some backlash because, people can tell when it's AI generated, social media content, more and more so, that kind of thing. So you don't want to, you want to be AI supported to help create things faster, but how can people manage VAs to make sure that they're not getting kind of spammy AI content out there? They're actually getting stuff that fits for them and that is not going to position them badly in the marketplace.
Awesome. Great question. So I think that people that say, I can easily tell AI, those people are not using the prompts correctly. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we can actually take AI and we can create content on AI, and we put it through another program called Perplexity, which is also an AI, and then we put it through Grammarly, and then we put it through a checker, and it tells you that it's 100% human created. Mm-hmm. Now, if the AI checkers can't tell you that it's not human created, I don't know how a human can tell you that it's, Okay. So we've got stuff. I was on an airplane and I said to this lady about AI, and she goes, my son wanted a PlayStation. And she said, he wrote me this amazing reasons, all these reasons why he wanted it. But she goes, I knew it was AI because he said mum instead of mom. So in Australia, they say mom, M-O-M, and it was M-U-M.
Yeah.
And I said, that's just because he hasn't learned how to prompt yet, because he's only 8.
And the fact that he's using it that way is very intelligent. So she should be very proud of that. But and so part of it is then training the VA and the agency on what your voice is, what your tone is, what your culture is, what your way of interacting is, and training your AI, training your VA to train the AI so that it sounds more like you, but also you've trained the VAs to use AI more intelligently, because the prompts make all the difference in the world. What you put in is what you're going to get out in terms of quality and uniqueness and being on track and on target. So tell me just very briefly, because we talked a little bit about when should people hire a VA. And one of the things I know, because I've been coaching for 40 years, a lot of times people try and do things that are ahead of the stage that they're at in their business. They're trying to run before they can walk. And one of those things is that they may or may not know what they need, and they may or may not know what their priorities are and what they should be focusing on, or how to get things done. And so they can't really set someone up for success because they don't know what they need to achieve. So is there, because I often work with them to clarify that kind of stuff in terms of being a business coach and helping them figure out what's your strategy and therefore what's your plan and what's your tactics. Now let's go delegate some of this now that we know where we're going. But so I guess my question is, when you get someone contacting you, do you kind of ensure that they have some foundation and some clarity around what they really need so that they're actually going to get ROI? Because I've spent a lot of time and money on VAs and got no return on my investment. So it kind of comes back to the same question of when is the right time to hire a VA?
Look, I definitely work on that, because if people don't know what the exact avatar is, they're just shooting in the dark. And if they've got somebody else also shooting in the dark, the chance of hitting a target is extremely low. It doesn't matter how many people you got just shooting in the dark. If you don't even know where the target is, you've got zero chance. Working out what service, what's your unique selling point. If you don't know who your avatar is and you don't know how you can uniquely service this person, really, you're not ready for any stages. And this is the thing where lots of people jump ahead. So they go, I want to start a business. And they go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a VA, and then I'm going to get them to work out to get me some clients. And the VA, they kind of, well, just go out there and get women.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly.
And they go, well, that's not going to work, man, because you need to work out what kind of woman, are these women in leadership roles? Are these women in, just coming, going into menopause, coming out of menopause? Are they empty nesters? Are they women with young children?
Yeah.
Give us some
problem
more.
Are you solving for them? Yeah,
absolutely.
I often tell people that they need to know their 3 whys, a what, and a how, and that's why do you do what you do? So what's your purpose, and why should people, because they resonate with why you do what you do. Why should they pick you versus everyone else? Why do they need what you have? So what are the benefits of it? What the hell do you sell? How do you package, price, and position that? And how are you going to market in a way that you will do that will fit for you, that is not the cookie cutter solution that many of the gurus and programs advocate, but is what you will actually do and works for you. When you know your 3 whys, what, and how, then you can go and say to someone, okay, I want you to help me with this piece and this piece, so that we can start building a funnel, so that we can start building our email list, so that we get that kind of thing. But if you don't know that, if you can't clearly articulate that, you can't help your VA help you. And so Absolutely. It's really important to have that foundation in place. So tell us a little bit, you've got a couple of gifts for people. So tell us a little bit about that. Speaking of helping them identify what they need to know and do. So what are they?
Perfect. So one of the gifts is I've got a checklist, and it's 150 things that you can delegate. So it shows you what in all the different departments of your business, what are things that you can delegate. What type of account stuff can you delegate? And it comes back to that, delegating and abdicating, where you go, Delegating is really going, hey, I need you to do the accounts and I will double check them before they go out. Okay, because it's still my responsibility. You're accountable to get them done, and it's my responsibility to make sure that they're right. And so, with regards to your socials, how's that going to work? A VA can actually create amazing socials for you, but you want to check them before they go out, right? Do you want to create videos? If you want to create videos, do you want the VAs to edit those videos for you? Do you want them to use some of the AI tools like Opus, Opus Pro, or do you want them to make it more professional using something like CapCut? So how does that work? What do you actually want them to do? And that's one of the checklists. That's the 150 things you can delegate. The second free gift is actually the checklist. So it's a tech checklist. And the tech checklist is broken down into beginner, professional, guru. Okay. So let's look at this Zoom call that we're on now.
Right.
Beginner just needs a free Zoom account that's open. It gives you 40 minutes, but it's a free Zoom account. They don't really have a background and they kind of just starting off. A professional now needs a background and they probably need a paid Zoom account, and that Zoom account, they probably need a link to that Zoom account, which they can send out to their customers so that every time their customers will go to the same Zoom account. The guru needs a Zoom account. That Zoom account needs to have a landing page where there's a waiting area and there's some promotional items. They need to have all the backgrounds. They need to have that Zoom account. People need to be able to come from an outside link, book in on a calendar, go straight to the Zoom account. That Zoom account needs to be sending out notifications. So you need to send out email reminders. You need to send out SMS reminders, which we can do all from your Zoom account, to remind people to attend your meeting. Right. So that's a concept. So the concept is, if you're a beginner, you just need this and we can help you get that. Yeah. And if you're a professional, you need this and we can help you get that. And if you're a guru, we can do this and we can help you get it.
That's awesome. Those are two great gifts. So the links for those will be in the show notes, but also in the vault, everybody. So you can go into the vault, log in, opt in to the vault. And not only will you see Louie's two checklists that you want to go and grab, because those are going to help you, especially the 150 things to delegate, because there's a lot of things that we don't think of that we can delegate. But beware, you can make work. In other words, there's things that you delegate because you can, but you don't really need to. They're not a high priority. If what you really want to focus on, especially if you're just getting going, is everything that will help you drive revenue. That's what the priority should be, is they're helping you with things that are not nice to have, but have to haves. But go and get that list, because it'll prompt ideas for you. And when you go into the vault, you'll see not only Louie's gifts, but also all of our other speakers. So you can go in and grab a bunch of them at the same time. Consider it our way of bonusing you. And if you happen to see someone's gift there and a topic that's of interest, well, click through to their episode and listen to that. And we update it all the time. Every new guest brings a new gift. So go in repeatedly and consider it your own personal private giveaway. So go and get those checklists. They're going to help you. You can also reach out to Louie. Where can they find you? What's the best way to reach you?
They can reach out to me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Those are probably two of the easiest ones to reach out to me. I do also have a program, a VIP program, where I can actually help them to create 6 months worth of content. So I can actually work with them, work out what their avatar is, work out what the unique selling point is, and then we create 6 months worth of avatar where we go to 6 months worth of content where we find out the top 10 fears of their customer, dreams, desires, and we then take those and we combine those into ideas for videos. And we then take that and we create stories from those. And we then take those and we create 20 Facebook posts. And I also create hooks for those. And then I also create a lead magnet, which you can then use to bring people into your world.
Wow.
Something
Yeah,
like the
that's a
150
valuable
things you
bundle.
can delegate.
Yes.
And that I also give you, I do a 20-minute interview and I break those down into shorts that you can put on your socials. So the whole value is worth about $2,200. We do it for $97. I only kind of have 5 a month.
Yeah.
I've already sold 2 this month. So, if you reach out, love to help you.
Awesome. Reach out to Louis for that. And again, the links are going to be in the show notes in the vault. And of course, you can find them online as well. The company is called, what's the company called again?
Ironbrij.
Ironbrij, but Bridge is BRIJ. BRIJ. So ironbrij.com. .au.
.com.au.
Okay. .com.au. So reach out to Louis to find out more and to have a conversation around, are you ready to delegate to VAs? Are you ready to delegate, period? Are you ready to start implementing more automation, more technology? Because again, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And is it time? And is he the right person to help you? There's a lot of agencies. There's a lot of places that you can go. You can do it yourself. Don't recommend that. You're probably not really great at actually vetting VAs. One of the big advantages of dealing with an agency is they have a vetting process. And so they know what to look for and what to avoid, whereas we don't necessarily. And also, if someone doesn't work out, a good agency will replace them with a new person if it's not working out or if it's not a good fit. So you want to make sure that you find an agency that will work with you and make sure that you get the right fit. So, Louis, what is some last words of wisdom? Because we haven't really talked a lot about your entrepreneurial journey. So if there are people out there that are thinking, generally they're in various different stages of what's next. So they might be, what's next? Who am I now that I'm not, who I've been my whole life, the CEO or whatever? And really just contemplating what's my vision for the future. What do I, now what? There's those that are getting going, launching something. There's those that have been in business for a while and are keeping going. So they're scaling up or they're scaling into philanthropy or they're, in some form of transition. And then those who are wanting to be mobile maturepreneurs. Those are kind of some of my submarkets. I had a question related to all of that. So there are different stages of their journey asking what's next. What advice do you have for those who are trying to make their next leap, whatever it may be? Would you advise them?
I love it. And I can tell you from personal experience that lots of times we've attached our identity to whatever it is that we did. Mm-hmm. And so I was an accountant and, and now you kind of have that as your identity. Everybody has that as their identity. And now you go, well, I'm going to do something different. And you've got to make peace with the fact that it's going to be a different identity. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a different identity initially. You're still going to always be an accountant, but you're now going to have a different identity moving forward. That's probably the first one that I think is very, very important. The second one is look at what you want to do and literally just give it a go. Literally give it a go. You can sit on the couch. You can sit on the couch for the next 6 months complaining about the economy, complaining about everything. But if you haven't got out there and just given it a go, and the amazing thing in business is I've had so many businesses where I'm like convinced and I'm heading in this direction. And then suddenly I go, people are asking me for this all the time. And they're saying, I want this, I want this, I want this. And then my business eventually just goes there in that direction. Yeah. But I wouldn't have found that out if I was sitting on the couch wondering what people want. So don't wonder what people want. Get out. And, a lot of us do it. We ask our friends, hey, if I started a business and I did this, would you be interested? Worst advice. 95% of the time, because everyone's going to say, yeah, they're supporting you. Yeah. Until it comes time to pay, and then no one wants to pay.
Yeah, exactly.
So get out there, just choose a direction. Literally, it doesn't matter what direction you choose. Choose a direction, start in that direction, and you will see that it will morph into something amazing.
Awesome. Great advice. So get off the couch, number one. And number two, it's not you are not what you do. You are who you are being in the world, the difference that only you can make in the world. And yes, we do need to get into action, but our value as a human being doesn't come from doing, from the do of life. So it's time to reassess, reevaluate. And that is, by the way, why I created the Clarity Compass workshop, how to create purpose and profit after 55, is for you to clarify, who am I that I'm not that now? What is my purpose? What is my vision for the future? And how am I going to make that profit myself and others? So go and check that out, please, on Maturepreneur World. That is the Clarity Compass workshop for those of you who are ready to say, I'm ready to refire, not retire. And I may not know what's next, but I'm going to find out. Thank you for listening. Please do share this episode, subscribe, like, leave comments. Generally, give us some love, because we like to provide information that really supports you in making the transition, taking the action. And if you want specific content, please just leave a comment to me or email me or contact me and say, I want this kind of information. I will go find you a world-class expert on that, and away we go. So thank you, Louis, for being here. Please do check him out and grab those gifts, those lists, so that you can start thinking about, how do I do more of what I do love? What is my zone of genius? Less of what I don't love, and do it in a way that's really efficient, effective, and supported, not abdicated, but delegated. So congrats, everybody, for being here and listening. And thank you, Louis, for staying up in the middle of the night and being here on the podcast. Appreciate you tremendously. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks, Louis.
No worries. Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening. I'd love it if you left a comment and subscribed. And I encourage you to apply one aha from this interview right away, so you can turn your wisdom into wealth and your contribution into positive change. Bye for now.